And among those communities on alert as we get into hurricane season is Fort Myers, Florida. Here with us now is the mayor of Fort Myers, Kevin B. Anderson. Mayor Anderson, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it's been a busy few days for you, so we really appreciate it.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
And we're seeing all these pictures of flooding and heavy rain from across South Florida. How did the western side of Florida fare from all the flooding that Stephanie just showed us?
Well, we had, as you mentioned, several days of rain. We fared a little bit better than the other coast. Our problem, of course, happens, we're on the river. So when it's high tide and these heavy rains come, then there's no place for the water to go to.
Yes, and I can see why that's such a huge problem. Stephanie and I were just saying that hurricane season just began 2 weeks ago today. This is very early in the hurricane season. So how is Fort Myers getting and staying prepared moving forward?
You know, we've been through numerous hurricane seasons. So we have plans in place to prepare. You can't stop a storm from coming, but you can be ready to handle the effects of the storm. One of those is public information, just overloading almost the public with information about how to be prepared for a storm, how to protect themselves, and how to respond after the storm.
And you mentioned where you are geologically. You said you're close to the river. What are your biggest concerns as you head into this hurricane season?
Once again, a repeat of Hurricane Ian, where it was a perfect tide. It was the highest tide it could be, heavy rains, no place for the water to go to, so we experienced flooding. Fortunately, our flooding was that slow rise of the water versus the storm surge, so it wasn't as destructive.
And we saw those beachside communities right near where you are, sir, in Fort Myers, take a direct hit from Hurricane Ian 2 years ago, as you mentioned. Has that storm changed how people get ready for hurricane season?
I think initially following a storm, the first 1 or 2 seasons, people pay a little bit more attention. But then if we don't get hit by a storm, they get complacent once again.
And that's human nature. I can see how easily that happens. You, sir, have lived in Fort Myers since 1979. What's changed over the years in the way people prepare for hurricane season?
Well, you know, long-term Floridians kind of have gone through so many storms without a problem. So they get, like I said, complacent. Then you get people from other parts of the country who really don't understand how devastating a hurricane can be. And, you know, it's hard to make them understand that the most predictable thing about a hurricane is that it is unpredictable. And I say that because Hurricane Ian on Monday was supposed to strike Tampa. And then it started slowly moving east, and then we were in the eye.
Mayor, what are your constituents telling you this week as they're dealing with all this flooding and, of course, the hurricane, despite it not being a direct hit? There was certainly a lot of damage.
You know, it's kind of mixed because we're coming out of the dry season and they recognize the need for the rain. And in some regards, that slow, steady soaker is good because then it gets down into the aquifers. But when you get too much, and like I said, in conjunction with high tide, then you get the pooling and the flooding. And of course, that disrupts people's travel plans, their ability to get to and from work, to the grocery store. So you get it's kind of mixed.
Well, Mayor, to your point, hurricane season just started. It's so important not to get complacent. Mayor Kevin Anderson, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.